Today's the day, I think.
Um, Wednesday?
I believe. I think. It's either today or tomorrow. It's coming.
Okay.
That
Is
we
it the
peasants.
asteroid that's going to finally end the pain?
Well, it's the day that we peasants, who are non-PlayStation users,
Mm.
can get access to the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta.
Okay, so I'm glad you just said that. I have looked this up. I have gone to my console. I
Mm-hmm.
have pressed on the game and been told I'm an idiot and it's too early.
Mm-hmm.
I go and look and it's supposed to have started 4 days ago, whatever it is. I've looked it up when, how do I do this on Xbox? The one thing I didn't look up was when does it actually start on Xbox? And maybe you've just explained it.
I think.
Well,
I'm trying to
because
bing this
I've read
because
like where people are like, oh, it's great, or whatever. And it's like, what the hell? Where is this thing?
well, I'm going to the trusty news source, Yahoo News.
Hmm. Yeah.
September 22nd through the 26th. So maybe it's tomorrow. I don't know. Jeez.
Well, they gave the peasants 4 days to play.
Xbox and PC early access Thursday, September 22nd at 10 a.m. So 1 p.m. So that's actually tomorrow.
I'm sorry, 1 p.m. ET?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'll have a webinar winding down tomorrow, early afternoon, and I can detune or detox or whatever.
So there you go. It is
That's
tomorrow.
been bugging me. I'm like, I feel like I literally yesterday spent time on this, and I'm like, I'm missing something here. Okay. But anyway, that's good. That's good to know.
So we'll see how
Good to know.
it works out. Yesterday, Microsoft announced, as expected, Windows 11 22H2 is now starting to roll out. Apparently, my PC has not been blessed, so I don't have it yet. But it's
So, because I literally have 13 laptops in for review this summer, I spent literally all of yesterday afternoon. I had, I want to say 8 laptops open and doing various things around the bedroom yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
My wife got her hair done or whatever and came back, and she walks in and she's like, huh. And then she just left. And I'm going to try to assemble the results here, but so here's some things I've seen that are kind of weird. I only got and I couldn't do every single laptop because I actually upgraded a few of the laptops to 22H2 manually because I'm working on the book. I only got it organically, if you will, through Windows Update on 2 of those computers. They were both ThinkPads. One is called a ThinkPad 16P, which is a brand new. Is that the right model? No, that's not the right model. Damn it. I think it might be a Z16. It's a brand new machine. They didn't have a Z15 or whatever or they didn't have a previous gen. It's awesome, and it's the first kind of different ThinkPad, if you will, in many years. That one got it. The surprise was the latest. It's like a ThinkPad. I think it's called ThinkPad's 13S, which is the Qualcomm based one, the latest chipset. Also got it. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but so that there's 6 left, right? Or 6 or 7. I think I might have done 9 totally. But of the remaining, most of them were not even. It wasn't even mentioned. Like you go through all the updates in Windows Update, you reboot, you check for updates. There are no updates. It doesn't even say, "Hey, Windows 11 is coming. Don't worry, you're gonna get it." Like no hint of it at all. Nothing. I tried to use the upgrade. What do you call it? It's called the installation assistant. I was told this would force it on any computer. I tried it on 2. It worked on 1, and 1 said, your computer is not ready. It would not let me do it. It wouldn't even let me say, I don't care. It literally would not let me do it. But the vast majority of the computers, we're not talking hundreds, but literally there was no hint that anything had happened. Now, I suspect if I go back today, and I will, there'll be something. It will either say, "Hey, Windows 11 is coming," or maybe it'll even be offered. I don't know. I want to do that before Windows Weekly, but I don't like this kind of slow boil thing. Like if you've had a year, Microsoft, to plan for this. For one thing, right? The other thing is the build that is the final build was delivered to insiders on July 2nd. Okay. So we've had over 2.5, we've had 2.5 months, we'll call it. And by we, I mean Microsoft has had 2.5 months to prime the pump, work with PC makers, figure out who's getting what and when, and splash something in it. They have no problem delivering ads all over Windows, but they can't deliver a little message in Windows Update when someone is explicitly saying, hey, I'm checking for updates. This is the day a new version of Windows came out. Nothing. It's just bad form, and it's just so unfortunately typical of these guys,
Well, the good news is, if you wanted tabs in File Explorer, you're not getting them yet. So you've got to wait until...
Well, another bit of miscommunication. Actually, no. Another bit of no communication, right? Ahead of this time. Let me ask you a question. So I don't know the actual list of features that are coming in October, November, depending on how you measure these things, but File Explorer tabs is the big one. There's some other things. There's some enhancements to the Photos app.
Yep.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Something about nearby share. Who cares? Anyway, if these things are coming in October, just wait till October. You shipped the first version in October. Make it an even dozen. Why does this thing have to ship now?
Just
I know it's crazy.
And as I tiraded on Twitter, it's consistency and predictability is what is important when it comes to updating platforms like Windows. And now it's just here's an update, and next month you'll get another update, and we're just going to start pushing features whenever we feel like it. Now, on the IT side...
By the way, I want to be clear. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you are not paraphrasing.
No.
We had an on-the-record conversation with Aaron Woodman where someone said, well, I mean, how often are you going to release these updates? I have no idea. I mean, how many updates do you think you're going to release before the next major one? I have no idea. That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
I think he actually has some idea, frankly. I mean, not to get into that part of the conversation, but I mean, literally what you just did, where you're like, that's the answer. And that is exactly the kind of certainty that any customer of any product should expect. It's crazy. It's just, and by the way, I believe you're going to segue into the most important part of this message, which is the caveat here is business customers will not be getting these things automatically, so they can wait till next year, and that's good. But what's the exception to that? You actually were the one who brought it up. Oh, I'm sorry. So you don't remember. So
no, I didn't know what the one exception was.
It's October. Business customers are going to get the October releases. Sorry, I thought you were the one that brought that up to me. I'm sorry. Yep. Yes. No,
oh my God, I did it. I genuinely missed that they couldn't turn off the October stuff because it was.
I thought you were the one that pointed me at that. Maybe I'll have to look that one up. Okay, so someone told me this yesterday. All right, I'll go look that up to be sure that's true. Because if it had come from you, I was positive it was true, but now I got to go look it up. But someone told me this yesterday. So I don't know. Just Brad, you work for a company that makes software. Is it confusing or difficult for you as a company that supports Windows to have a subset of the audience on some version with certain features and a subset on a different version with other features?
I can't begin to explain the hell that is all the different versions that float out, because here's the perfect example is somebody will come and be like, hey, your stuff's broken, and we'll be like, okay, which version of Windows are you on? And they're like, I don't know. And it's it's
going to be worse than that soon, because flash forward 2-3 months and that conversation will occur, and they'll say, I don't know. And you'll explain to them how you look, and they'll give you the version. And then you'll have to say, okay, are you in a managed environment where your IT staff might have turned off certain functionality? It gets really stupid.
Yeah. And then they're doing things like these XAML islands, which they've turned off and on a number of times, which we can deal with now, thankfully. But the problem is, again, it gets complicated because your build, to your exact point, may or may not have them. And so what do we have to ask the user to do? I'm not even making this up. We have to ask them if they can drag icons around in their system tray. Like, because that is how we know whether or not they have them. And it's like, oof. Now,
So I'm gonna
yeah.
let me throw out one olive branch potentially, or
Mhm.
display. Well, no, it's not even double. I actually don't know if this is true. So let me throw out a possibility.
Yep.
Um, One of the things that they've been doing very annoyingly in the Windows Insider program this past year is they've split the beta channel into two paths, and
Hmm.
they're different build numbers. So one build automatically gets the updates and one build doesn't. And this kind of mirrors, if you think about it, this thing they're talking about doing right now, which is that in the coming year, we'll all be on, some audience will be on 22H2, but maybe some of us will be on I'm just going to make a build numbers because it doesn't really matter. But the official build number is 22621.521, right? So maybe the guys let's say that will actually change, but let's just pretend it doesn't to make it simple. So the people who are on the features who get those extra features will stay on 521, which is, again, not the case. But the people who are not getting the features, i.e. are in managed environments where IT has not allowed those things through, will be on 421.
Hmm.
And maybe that's how you as a developer could check a version string, which, by the way, will be a growing matrix of strings because
Hmm.
these build numbers are going to change every single time anything happens. But it, again, I don't know, but it seems like that's the logical way to handle this, and it
Yeah.
would explain why they just wasted so much time testing this in the beta channel, right? Maybe.
Yeah. I don't. It's just consistency, and it
I
is
know.
the only thing that we ask for, and it's
Actually, no. Well, actually, see, we just guessed. You're right about consistency too,
yeah.
but the only thing we really asked for, well, the first thing I'd ask for would be communication. In other words, I just supposed something based on evidence.
Hmm.
It could be right, it could be wrong. We don't know because Microsoft has never come out and said this is how we're going to do it. Now they may sometime soon, and one might argue we don't need to tell you this yet because that's not coming till October anyway, so who cares? But developers need time to prep for this, and October is not that far away. In fact, it's 10 days away. Now, October, the release will probably be 3 to 4 weeks from now, whatever. But guys, Microsoft, you gotta talk. Like we had this meeting where they kept talking about how transparent they were, and this wasn't going to stop, and it's the best part of this, and it's like you're not transparent.
Mm-mm.
Transparent doesn't mean I can see through you, which I can. It means you are open about what you're doing, and that's the thing they're not transparent about.
Yep.
I just had to guess. I don't work for your company, Brad, or any company that makes software. This is something you and others like you need to know.
Hmm.
It and needed to know in July, not on the eve of the release, right?
The other fun thing came out, which there's a minor conflict of error or whatever overlap here
Conflict of
between my
error is a
career
good
and
term,
something
yeah.
Microsoft published. Everybody
Mhm.
can go read it on their own. We had a good laugh about it. Paul and I did, and then actually I talked to Raph about it because
Yeah.
I needed another second good laugh.
Sure.
Microsoft paid Forrester. I'm assuming
Yeah.
they paid them. I can't imagine Forrester
No,
put
they
this
did. It's
together in their
commissioned.
own free
Mission
will.
study. Yep.
About how Windows 11 increases productivity using unnamed sources or unnamed quotations from a CISO, says it doesn't require additional training and that it's just fine. I will argue that Windows 11 is more secure, but I would make another argument that says Windows 11 is
Artificially.
probably not as productivity as
The notion that Windows 11 doesn't require training is nonsense.
yes.
Is nonsense. You had a great example you told me privately, which it doesn't matter, but of software needs to be exactly the same because normal people use it, and when there's a button missing or an icon or a path to a thing that's different, everything grinds to a halt and support calls are made and blah blah blah, whatever, and business stops. And I'm sorry, but I I won't argue with the notion that making Windows simpler is good. I won't argue with the fact that Microsoft felt they needed to re-architect the start menu and the taskbar from scratch, but they released it in such a state that a lot of stuff that used to work doesn't work, and that's what requires training. It's nonsense. It's like a lot of people make these arguments. This is the problem with the whole world, really, which is I will say something like, hey, I right click on the taskbar and there's no task manager. Why would you, what's going on? And then I'll hear from someone who says, oh, well, I just use the, Control Shift Escape to launch task manager. I never use that anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you do something different. That's cute. But the point is, I did something a certain way, and it worked for 22 years. So why is that gone exactly? I get that there are workarounds, but I'm not a non-technical user working at retail or working in an office doing work that has nothing to do with computers, and I don't care how this thing works. It's a tool. I'm trying to do other things. What's going on? And that's the very definition, and this is the one stupid example, of needs training. What a stupid thing to write.
Yeah, it just didn't sit right at really any fundamental level of anything.
I told you my favorite bit was like, after 1 year of use, people who switch to Windows 10 or Windows 11 are 5 to 15% more productive.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, it's
1 year. So first of all, the 1 year period is training. it's the period of time where you get used to the thing that's different because things are missing now, and you've gotten back up to speed again. So there's a learning curve where you kind of become more productive over time. I don't know. The other thing, by the way, that aggravates them.
How much productivity you gain is going to be there when they get tabs and File Explorer throughout?
Oh my God.
At least 30%.
That's a 40%. Nice undocumented. So by the way, that leads me to my next frustration with this, which is dating back to Windows 8. Remember, Windows 8 was such a radical change.
Mm-hmm.
People were saying, guys, you got to put training in this thing. Like, you can't just throw this thing out and expect people to figure it out. So they did some tests with the beta program at the time. And sure enough, people were able to use these new UIs, which were undiscoverable, which included edge swipes and things like charms and whatever. Effectively, once you threw a video up and explained to them, this is how it works. If you just dumped them in the system, they had decades of use with Windows to fall back on, and none of it was making any sense. And then Sinofsky was like, yeah, we're not doing it. I don't care. People will figure it out organically. And in that conversation with Aaron Woodman and John Cable, someone said, hey, you're adding features a lot all of a sudden. Don't you think you should have something that pops up? Like, the person didn't say this, but if you install a new version of Chrome OS, the first, which you do every 6 weeks or whatever, 4 weeks, whatever it is, a thing pops up and says, here's what's new.
Mm-hmm.
When you install a new version of iOS, you get a thing. Hey, here's what's new.
Yep.
You can go through an application that shows you all the new features.
So
blah, blah, blah.
Here's a fun one. Here's a fun one on that same vein. My watch I didn't even know I wasn't on OS 9. When I went to 9, it was like earlier this week, first thing that pops up, out-of-box experience.
Yep,
like, you have to swipe through the features that have been updated.
Exactly. Because a lot of things are just not discoverable organically. Anyway, Microsoft's response to that was the same it was 10 years ago. Sorry. Nope.
Ooh, 10.
Not going to do that. Microsoft has no problem popping up little dialogues that say something like, hey, would you like to talk to a support specialist? You can learn more about Windows, or do you want to buy extra OneDrive storage, or blah, blah, blah. Or here's some stupid apps in your start menu that are not even really installed, but when you click on them, they will install. And, we did a little something with the company that made it. But they can't tell you, hey, File Explorer just got better. Cool.
Well, they didn't. That's why they didn't tell you.
Oh.